Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Touhou Marine Benefit. So, as you can see here, there's a new thing that says replay, and that is because I am now playing with the replay patch, and I will post a link to that in the description, assuming I can find said link. And yeah, so we're going to be playing the extra mode today, but before we begin, I want to shamelessly advertise, I've decided to create a Discord server, so I'll post a link to that in the description. It's just, you know, kind of a place to chat, talk about Touhou. It's more of just a Discord server for my general LP series and stuff like that. So, you know, if you want to join, there will be a link in the description. So why don't we go ahead and hop right in. So this extra is very nostalgic to me because, as I said in the earlier video, when I was into this game for the first time, like 2011, the extra mode wasn't finished yet. In fact, the boss didn't even have a sprite or a portrait, and there was no music for the boss either, or the stage, so it was like really incomplete, but you could still play through the whole thing, which was really interesting. And it's just kind of nostalgic to me, you know? And this extra is very special in the sense that it's completely different, the boss fight, depending on which character you're using. So for the purposes of this video, I'll be going as Reimu, but I will be playing through Marissa and Sanae's extras, just because I think that this game kind of deserves it, and again, it's nostalgic for me, this particular stage. It means a lot to me. So, we start off with these 3 fairies, in which you're not actually required to kill to get rid of them. In fact, if you just wait a certain amount of time, these fairies will just eventually die away anyway. However, I will just go ahead and kill them because I'm kind of too lazy to wait that long. It is a good opportunity to graze, though, and I also want to point out that you only have to kill one of the fairies to make them all disappear, which is kind of weird, but that's just how it is. Now for this part, if you're a shot like Reimu B or Reimu A, you're probably not going to be able to kill both sides of the screen, so just kill whatever you can on one side. I usually stay on the left for the oxygen items because I want the lives. And look at that background, by the way. It's pretty simplistic, but I kind of like it. It's got like a bunch of like stars everywhere, and we're in some kind of like weird void, I guess, some weird world. Now for this part, it's very straightforward except for the 4th wave. There is something on the 4th wave that you have to know, and if you don't know it, then you're probably going to die. So on said 4th wave, you need to hug the left wall, mid-height, and then stream down. If you don't know that, you're gonna die, but if you do know that, then you're fine. Then there will be this fairy, which you'll want to kill as soon as possible so it doesn't interfere with this section here. And then once you've killed it, then you can just stay unfocused, and then none of the fairies can reach you anymore. Alright, now for our mid-boss, which is going to be Mikoto. She's got 3 spells for us. The first one is not complicated at all. It's just a bunch of hitting the wall and screen shaking. But the screen shaking isn't that big a deal, though do note that this spell will get faster as time goes on. So I'd imagine if you try to time this out, it would get pretty insane. But just going for a simple capture is not challenging. The second spell is very important for graze milking and life farming. The red orb will erase bullets that are near it, but it also follows you, so you can lure it around and it will erase bullets. However, the twist is that you can still graze the bullets even as they're disappearing. So what that means is that you can just farm this for lives and lives and lives. It also gets faster and more dense as time goes along, so essentially, if you just keep timing this down and going in a repetitive circle, you can just get a bunch of graze, and it really adds up. Really cool trick. Just don't move too far away, because if you do, you're going to hit the side and you're going to die. You could probably be a bit more aggressive than I am with the grazing, but I just don't want to die, because then that makes all of this grazing worthless, because then I would have lost a life. But yeah, it's a really cool, useful trick to keep in mind. Now on the final spell, the only thing you need to know about this is that if you stay near the bottom of the screen, you're going to get walled. So you're going to have to stay up, but that's basically the only trick to this spell. It is very beautiful though, I will admit. It's a very colorful and pretty spell, and I really appreciate it. Alright, and immediately after the mid-boss, you have this fairy that starts freaking out and moving across the screen. This fairy is kind of hard to kill, but if you can kill it, then go to the bottom of the screen, because if you're at the bottom, you can kill these before they do anything, and thus you don't have to worry about them. You can completely trivialize this section. And for that matter, the fairy that comes after it, too. Alright, this section is mean. If you're not bombing, then you're going to have a hard time here. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to kill at least 2 fairies if you can, but I'm not succeeding at all. It's a really hard section if you're not bombing, just because it's really hard to kill these fairies. In fact, I would recommend using a bomb on this, but since I'm trying to play through this no bombs, I'm just gonna tank it and die a bunch. Again, if you're Reimu A, you're gonna have a lot of trouble on that section. It's a really ridiculous section, and I hardly ever capture it. I used to be good at it, but it's just been a while since I played this stage, so, I mean, that's to be expected. Now you can see why I milked all those resources on Mikoto, because I knew that was going to happen. And also I know because this is going to happen. This part I've never really quite figured out how to consistently do it, because something always manages to surprise me in the end. From what I've gathered, the safest way to do it is to do that rotating method. However, sometimes I don't do it right and I end up dying. There might be a better method to that, but as far as I know, that's the way to do it, so that's how I do it, and it worked that time, but, I mean, you know. Alright, I also want to point out, if you're playing as Riri's replay patch, you can't skip the dialogue with Z, you must use control. Alright, now for Otohime, Kanpukugu. This was the boss, of which I didn't know what she looked like before the game was released. And I also didn't know what her theme was going to be. I do want to point out a funny story, is that I kept checking Crystal Wings' blog frequently to see if their themes were uploaded. And when I did, I uploaded it to YouTube as soon as I could. So if you know about that one video of Otohime's theme by Destructive Beam, I am actually Destructive Beam. That was my video. And then I also posted a clear of the stage, but because the game hasn't been patched yet, I had to record the stage and the boss without audio, and then add the files of the music in to make it seem like it was being played in the game. So it was kind of funny. But I didn't do a correct loop of Otohime's theme, so in the middle of the fight it sounds really sloppy. I wonder if anyone ever noticed that. Anyway, let's go ahead and hear our theme, because it's really awesome. It's kind of like Flandra's theme, but I like it. It's not like a carbon copy of it, but it might remind you of like Flandra and Koishi and Nue and all of that. Okay, so her non-spells, you might have seen something like this in Riverbed Soul Saver. If you have, this is the origin. So yeah, these non-spells are like little steamrollers, but they look really cool. This is really creative. I like it. Now the first spell, Pandora's Box, essentially it's very straightforward. As I said before, all of the spell cards in this fight are going to be different depending on which character you use, so you won't fight this as Murasa and Sane. Now then, the trick to this spell is actually pretty straightforward. Just don't stay in the middle, go to the side to get away from the stuff, and then make your way back into the middle, and then damage her. Easy. All of the non-spells are pretty straightforward too, although you want to be careful that you're watching the path of these bullets because they move in such a weird fashion. It's predictable but weird, and I found myself dying even though I really didn't think I should be dying, and it just can surprise you, so be careful, be careful. Alright, so this second spell is a bit confusing because of the warping of the bullets, but the warps are predictable, so you can predict the general path of what the bullets are going to do. The most important part is the bubbles. So how to deal with the bubbles is hug the edge and then let the bubbles go over you, if that makes sense. Yeah, you want the bubbles to go over you. Like that. And as soon as you realize that, then the spell becomes completely trivial. But if you don't know about that hugging strat, then you're likely to struggle. Alright, the third non. Okay, fourth spell, third spell rather. I love this one. It's really cool. Akashic Record Player. So, yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of bullets curving at you, but it's not annoying curving like Show. It's a lot more fair, and it's just a lot fun to dodge. Like, it's... The curves themselves are kind of predictable because, you know, they're really defined, but it's really fun to do. It's a cool spell, and I appreciate it for what it does. Alright. The fourth non is one of the easier ones in the fight, because it's not as much about twisting as it is just kind of zigzagging downward. Alright, and yes, she's gonna use the Megami gimmick. Except she does something really cool in this spell. So she makes like this really, really beautiful looking 3D sphere. Now, one thing you need to know about this sphere is the fact that you can die to the bullets in the background, so don't assume that the ones in the background are safe, because they're most certainly not safe. There's a lot of symmetry in this spell, but really it's not really a dodging spell, but rather an aesthetic spell. But that in of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially for an extra stage. And I have to say, I'm really happy with how they did this stage. A lot of cool ideas. This non is like that one non that you'll struggle with a ton, but then once you get it, it becomes completely trivial. And then this spell, I hate. She's gonna do the Kasumi Shindo thing of the light switching. And I really hate this, not because it's particularly hard, but just because my brain is really bad at comprehending this. I mean, I don't really have to explain how this works, because it's pretty obvious just by looking at it, but it's also pretty obvious how confusing this can get at times. And oh boy, do I get confused on this spell. Like, I don't know, after a while my brain just gets overwhelmed. And I don't like it. Like right there, I got overwhelmed. Thankfully it ended before I died, but yeah, it gets hard after a while. Now she takes a break and does something completely different. With this non, it's pretty self-explanatory actually. There's a defined path that you want to take, obvi. Okay. And now for an Utsuho homage. This is 10 evil stars, except this time you're going in the suns, or bubbles rather, instead of being on the outside. It's really weird. But it's kind of a cool throwback. I mean, I can appreciate stuff like this. It's really easy too. You shouldn't have any problems here. Okay. Now for a non-spell which takes a break from all the craziness and just goes into simple random dodging, which I am okay with. Yeah. I'm having a bit of trouble staying under her, but thankfully she kind of follows you after a while. How is this not dead? Okay. Is it time? Oh god, it's time for this. Okay, Microsoft sign, cut and paste. I hate this spell. The concept, as you can see, is that you'll grab bullets and then transport them. It's cut and pasting, essentially. Cut, paste. And the first wave is really simple. All you gotta do is go left, right, left, right. And then the second wave is the same thing too, although this one can be tricky. I've had some really stupid deaths on this phase, which really make me rage. Like right here, I don't really know what to do. So I'll just reverse my movement. Okay? But the final wave is the one that's really stupid. I can't do this phase to save my life. I don't know why. I can't do it. It's so confusing to me. And I don't know what is up with it. But I cannot do this phase to save my life. I hate this spell. It's just annoying. I know it's all memorization, but I don't like it. Now this spell is actually better than the last one, but it's kind of stupid. It's not a ripoff of Tojiko because this game came before Ten Desires, just so you know. So you can already see what's wrong with this one. I shouldn't have to explain to you. I've never been a fan of the whole bullet obscuring thing in Touhou because I really don't like things that like try to mess with your vision. It's just not something I'm pretty fond of at all. The waves have better gaps as time goes on to make up for the fog, but it's still really eye-rapey and I just don't appreciate it. And it has a tendency to surprise you in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like on the last wave, it's really hard to see what's going on and I really don't like this, and please end. I actually captured it, which is pretty miraculous to say the least. Alright, now the final non. So what you do here is you have to aggressively move in the waves. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to be aggressive. You can't just move up to the right side of the screen because those purple things will kill you if you can see them. You're forced to do it this way. It's not too hard of a motion, but it can be really annoying to do sometimes, so be careful. Alright, now for the fire spell, which is really infamous for the grazing spam that you can do. So if you're Reimu A like I am here, I won't showcase it because this is a no bombs run, but there's plenty of videos on YouTube saying, it's like, I think the title's called Marine Benefit Graze is Broken. Basically, if you bomb, you can hug the boss and graze a bunch and just get like infinite lives and stuff like that. It's really ridiculous. But yeah, this spell can totally be abused for graze and it's not even funny. Or maybe it is kind of funny because it's such an exploit. And we're done with the fight! That was a one miss Otohime, I think, on one stupid survival which no one cares about. Or are we done? Nope, we are not done. There's 3 of them. So this character's gimmick is that she has like a version of her in the past, a version of her in the future, and a version of her in the present. As Reimu, you're fighting the future version. As Sanae, you'd be fighting the present, and then as Marissa, you'd be fighting the past. Or maybe Reimu and Sanae are switched. I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, you have to fight all 3 of them. All on your own. Or do you? Yep. You get Reimu, Marissa, and Sanae against all 3 Otohimes. Marissa and Sanae will give you like full power and some life pieces. So yeah, it's an epic duel. I really like this spell. So the whole trick is that Marissa and Sanae will make these balls turn into really tiny pellets. But when you kill one of the Otohimes, they like freak out and send like this familiar of black orbs at you. So what you want to do is you don't want to kill them all one by one. You want to like try to kill them all at the same time, which means you damage one for a long period of time, move around, and then damage the other 2, and then just kill them all in quick succession. That way you don't have to worry about the crazy stuff. That is the most efficient way to do this spell in the safest way. And if you do that, then this spell is basically trivial. Like, There isn't much difficulty to be found here. Just kill the one on the right, kill the one in the middle, finish the one on the left off, and you're good to go. Trivial. It's a cool twist, honestly. If I were to do say so myself, I really like that spell. I mean, it's not necessarily hard to do, but it's just a fun concept. And that could have been a no Miss no Ba Motohime if I had just captured that cut and paste sign. But you know what? I don't care. I hate that spell, so I'm exempt from capturing it. I am exempt from capturing it. And that was our extra. But we're not done, because we've got 2 more to go. See you guys next time.